Listen, when the Braxtons sit down for dinner, it's not just for dinner. It's emotional demolition and designer outfits. This latest episode, it starts with a cease and desist letter and ends with voices raised, accusation flying, and Toni Braxton looking one eye switch away from flipping the whole table. Tamar isn't just arguing with one sister. She's going toe-to-toe with all of them. Towanda accuses her of sleeping with Toni's ex. Trina saying hands were thrown. Toni's over it, and Tamar, she's spiraling, defending herself like she's fighting ghosts and family at the same time. And let's be real, this wasn't just reality TV drama. This was decades of pain, pride, and unspoken competition bubbling to the surface. And tonight, we're not just sipping tea, we're unpacking the trauma behind it. Because baby, this fight is deeper than who said what. It's about what happens when a family loves each other hard but heals each other wrong. So it all kicks off when Tamar brings up that cease and desist letter about her niece Ashley. She's mad, asking who gave my address to that lawyer. Now Toni's face says it all. She's caught between confusion and irritation. Tamar feels betrayed. Toni feels blindsided. And in seconds, that polite dinner turns into an emotional courtroom. But let's keep it real. This wasn't about a letter. It was about trust. The letter was just the trigger for years of "you don't have my back" finally spilling out. Tamar and Towanda start going back and forth, and baby, it gets ugly fast. Tamar throws out accusation of stealing. Towanda claps back with something nuclear, saying Tamar allegedly slept with Toni's ex. The whole room freezes. Toni's done. Trina's eyes are wide, and you can literally see in Tamar's body language she's shaking, not just from anger, but humiliation. Now, you can call Tamar dramatic, and yes, she is, but this moment, it felt like somebody ripped the bandage off an old wound on live TV. After that, Trina steps in, and it's all chaos all over again. Tamar says Trina put hands on her. Trina says Tamar's twisting the truth. At this point, Tamar's pacing, crying, yelling. The sister whispered that she's sick, that she's not okay. And honestly, it's uncomfortable to watch because it doesn't feel like TV anymore. It feels like watching a woman unravel while everyone else argues about whether to comfort her or condemn her. She keeps yelling that her sisters are jealous, but under that anger, you can hear the fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being the bad guy again, fear of being alone. Tamar always says she's protecting her peace, but let's be honest. Sometimes her version of peace looks a whole lot like war. She's built a defense system so high that nobody can reach her anymore. Every question feels like an attack. Every boundary becomes a battle. And I get it. When you've been hurt over and over, you start swinging first just to make sure you're not the only one getting hit. But peace isn't about silence or control. It's about self-awareness. And that's the part Tamar keeps skipping, because protecting peace doesn't mean pushing everyone away. It means learning to stop dragging your old pain into new rooms. Let's not pretend the sisters are saints. This family created the environment where Tamar learned this behavior. They've enabled her for years, laughed it off, covered for her, and said, that's just Tamar. So now, when they finally call her out, she doesn't believe it's genuine, because you can't set a boundary after a decade of letting somebody cross every line. And honestly, they gaslight her too. They call her crazy, sick, or dramatic every time she expresses a real emotion. And when you invalidate somebody's feelings long enough, eventually they stop trying to express them. They just explode. That's what we saw. A woman who's been labeled the problem for so long that she's starting to believe it. Tamar's behavior is out of pocket, period. But her sister's silence, that's dangerous too. Toni avoids, Towanda deflects, Trina distracts, and together they've created a system where nobody ever truly gets held accountable. They just keep surviving the next argument. The truth is, they're all hurting and they're all handling their pain differently. Tamar screams it, Toni suppresses it, Towanda disguises it with sarcasm, Trina numbs it with laughter. It's not just dysfunction, it's family trauma on repeat. So who's really to blame? All of them. Because hurt people don't just hurt people, they normalize the hurt. The Braxtons love hard, but they fight harder. And until they all stop trying to win and start trying to understand, nobody's ever going to change. This isn't a Tamar problem. It's a Braxton family culture problem. A home where love and pain learn to share the same table. This episode wasn't just a fight. It was a mirror. Because a lot of us grew up in families just like this, where you love each other deeply, but you don't know how to love each other correctly. Tamar needs therapy, not applause. Her sisters need empathy, not ego. And the audience, we need to stop watching for the mess and start listening for the message. Because the Braxtons aren't broken, they're unhealed. And healing doesn't happen in a reunion special. It happens when everybody finally says, I was wrong too. I'm Jazz, and this is Inside Jazz, where we don't just spill the tea, we sip the truth. See you next time.